All right, strap in everyone, because today we're diving deep into something truly unique. AI's ranking of the 11 most significant events of 2024.
Yeah, this isn't just another year-end list. We're talking about an AI analysis of real-world impact. Politics, science, space climate, the whole shebang.
Buckle up as we count down from number 11 to the number 1 event. Trust me, you won't believe what made the list.
Let's uncover the events that truly shook our world in 2024.
Coming in at number 11, we've got the Paris 2024 Summer Olympics. A century after their last hosting gig, Paris brought back the Games with a focus on sustainability.
And they pulled it off. A successful and celebrated event. And they managed to be financially responsible, which is a welcome change.
Yeah, the Olympics aren't exactly known for being budget-friendly. Plus, we saw Simone Biles continue to dominate gymnastics, the U.S. men's basketball team battle for gold, and breakdancing made its Olympic debut. Talk about athletic prowess and cultural evolution all in one.
It's interesting that the AI placed the Olympics at number 11, though. It seems to prioritize events with long-lasting global consequences.
All right, the Olympics are a huge cultural phenomenon, but maybe their direct impact is more short-lived.
Yeah.
Moving on to number 10, the expansion of the BRICS bloc. Just a quick reminder, BRICS originally stood for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
This year, they shook things up, adding 6 new members: Iran, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt, Argentina, and Ethiopia.
Whoa, that's a major shift in the geopolitical landscape. Adding those major oil producers like Saudi Arabia, it suggests a move toward a multipolar world. What do you think is this a direct challenge to the Western-dominated economic system?
It definitely creates a new dynamic. The expanded BRICS bloc now represents a huge chunk of the global population and economic output, a potential counterweight to the G7. Whether they can effectively leverage this newfound influence is another question.
And it goes beyond just politics, right? Could this lead to a shift away from the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency?
The BRICS nations have talked about creating a new reserve currency, backed by a basket of commodities. If they pull that off, it could really challenge the dollar's dominance. But it's a complex undertaking.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. At number 9, we have something that shook the U.S. legal actions against former President Donald Trump.
This was unprecedented. A former U.S. president found guilty, 34 felony counts related to falsified business records, all stemming from those hush money payments.
The political fallout is still unfolding. With Trump's influence, how do you think this will impact the 2024 election?
This conviction has definitely intensified the partisan divide. Trump's supporters see it as politically motivated. His detractors see it as long overdue accountability. It's going to further polarize things, and that'll impact voter turnout and candidate selection.
It's a reminder that even in established democracies, legal and political systems are constantly being tested. Now for a journey back in time. Number 8 takes us to the discovery of a lost city in Ecuador, a 500-year-old city hidden in the Apana region, suddenly unearthed by archaeologists.
This ancient civilization, it was around the same time as the Aztecs and Mayans. Challenges what we thought we knew about pre-Columbian South America. The artifacts and structures they're finding are offering amazing insights into this previously unknown culture.
It's like opening a window into a forgotten world. What surprised archaeologists the most?
One of the most interesting finds is evidence of a complex irrigation system that suggests a high level of social organization and technological advancement. This is making everyone rethink the complexity of ancient South American civilizations.
It's mind-blowing to think how many mysteries are still out there, waiting to rewrite history. Moving on to number 7, we enter the world of international law, the ICJ climate case.
This landmark case was brought by Pacific Island nations. They're experiencing the devastating effects of climate change firsthand. They want to hold major polluting nations accountable for the damage caused by their emissions.
This case had the potential to set a global precedent, forcing countries to take action on climate change under international law. But does the ICJ actually have the power to enforce such a ruling?
That's the big question. The ICJ's rulings carry a lot of moral weight, but their enforcement mechanisms are limited. They rely on cooperation from states and international pressure.
So maybe not a silver bullet.
Yeah.
But it definitely shines a spotlight on the need for global cooperation. Now for a dose of hope, number 6 brings us a potential breakthrough in cancer treatment.
This year saw the development of a new universal cancer vaccine. It's showing remarkable results in early trials. What's groundbreaking is that it targets mutations across multiple cancer types, potentially eliminating the need for separate vaccines for each type.
That's incredible. Imagine a future where one vaccine could treat a wide range of cancers. What are the biggest challenges facing this vaccine?
Scaling up production to meet global demand is a major hurdle. And while early trials are promising, larger scale trials are needed to confirm efficacy and safety. And of course, ensuring equitable access and affordability is crucial.
It's amazing how scientific advancements continue to push boundaries. Now for number 5, we enter the realm of futuristic technology, advancements in AI and autonomous systems.
This year saw a significant leap forward with the successful deployment of fully autonomous cargo ships and planes. These self-navigating vessels are going to revolutionize global logistics, potentially reducing costs, increasing efficiency, and lowering emissions.
It's fascinating and a little unnerving to picture ships and planes crisscrossing the globe without human pilots. What are some of the ethical considerations?
Job displacement is a major concern. As these systems become more sophisticated, they could replace human workers in various sectors. It's crucial to anticipate these shifts and provide retraining opportunities.
It's a reminder that while technology can solve problems, it also creates new ones. But for now, let's take a journey to the Red Planet. Number 4 takes us to the Mars Habitat Demonstration Mission.
This joint project between SpaceX and NASA successfully deployed a functional habitat module on Mars, a crucial step towards potential human colonization. They were able to produce water, oxygen, and even grow crops on Martian soil.
It's mind-blowing to think we're building habitats on another planet. But what about the psychological impact on humans living in such an extreme and isolated environment?
That's a critical aspect of future missions. Astronauts will need extensive psychological training to cope with the isolation, confinement, and stress, selecting individuals with the right psychological resilience, and fostering a strong sense of community will be key.
It's a reminder that space exploration is as much about pushing the boundaries of human endurance and adaptation as it is about technology. But now we turn to a development closer to home, one with significant geopolitical ramifications. Number 3, the Syrian regime overthrow.
After years of brutal civil war, the regime of Bashar al-Assad was overthrown, a major turning point for the region. But this victory came at a heavy price. Widespread destruction and a humanitarian crisis are still unfolding.
The power vacuum left by the regime's collapse is a volatile situation. What are the potential scenarios that could play out in Syria?
The path forward is uncertain. There are various factions vying for power, remnants of the old regime opposition groups, external powers. The potential for continued instability and even further conflict is high.
It's a reminder that removing a dictator doesn't guarantee peace and stability. Rebuilding a nation after such devastation is a long and arduous road. But for now, we need to shift focus to an issue that impacts us all. At number 2, the sobering reality of record-breaking global temperatures.
2024 will be remembered as the year we crossed that critical threshold, 1.5 degrees C above pre-industrial levels. This isn't just a number, it's a warning sign that the climate crisis is accelerating, bringing more frequent and intense heat waves, droughts, floods, you name it.
It's a reminder that the impacts of climate change aren't some distant threat. They're happening now, affecting millions of lives worldwide. But is there any reason for hope? Are we turning the tide on this global crisis?
While the situation is dire, there are some glimmers of hope. Renewable energy is becoming more cost competitive. There's a growing global movement demanding action. But we need to scale up these efforts dramatically if we want to avoid the worst-case scenarios.
It's a call to action for all of us.
Yeah.
To reduce our environmental footprint and advocate for change. But before we dive into those actions, we need to uncover the event that AI deemed the most impactful of 2024. And let me tell you, it's a topic that continues to dominate headlines and spark global concern. Are you ready for number 1?
Yeah, it's amazing how connected all these events are. Regime change in Syria causing ripples across the Middle East, the climate crisis fueling tensions worldwide. It's all a complex web of cause and effect.
Like a domino effect, one event triggering a chain reaction across the globe.
Yeah.
It really highlights how interconnected our world is. Speaking of interconnectedness, let's circle back to that BRICS expansion. What does that really mean for global power dynamics? Could we be seeing a new world order emerge?
That's the question everyone's asking. It definitely signals a move away from a world dominated by Western powers. The expanded BRICS bloc represents a huge portion of the global population and economic output.
So are they a potential rival to the G7?
They could be, but it's important to remember that the BRICS nations aren't a single united force. They have different interests, and sometimes those interests clash.
Good point. How do you reconcile the interests of a democracy like India with those of a more authoritarian regime like China?
Exactly. That's the challenge. Their ability to work together as a bloc remains to be seen. However, their expansion is a clear sign that the global landscape is shifting, becoming more multipolar.
And what about the economic implications? Could this lead to a move away for the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency?
It's possible, but it wouldn't happen overnight. The BRICS nations have discussed creating a new reserve currency backed by a basket of commodities. If they can actually make that system work, it could challenge the dollar's dominance.
That would be a massive change in global finance. Because let's go back to the legal actions against Donald Trump. Looking beyond the legal stuff, what are the broader impacts of a former U.S. president being convicted of a felony?
It's a defining moment for American democracy. This conviction brings up fundamental questions about the rule of law, the peaceful transfer of power, and the accountability of people in high office. It's a powerful reminder that no one, not even a former president, is above the law.
But it's also deepened the political divide in the U.S. Trump's supporters see this as a political attack, while his opponents view it as a long overdue reckoning. How will this impact the 2024 election?
This conviction will definitely be a rallying cry for both sides. It's likely to energize Trump's base and his supporters, but it'll also motivate those who oppose him to vote against him.
It seems like the impact of this event will be felt in U.S. politics for years to come. Now let's switch gears to something more positive. The discovery of that lost city in Ecuador. What are archaeologists learning about this incredible find?
Archaeologists are really excited about this. It's not every day you get to study a civilization that's been untouched for centuries. The artifacts instructors are giving them amazing insights into the daily life beliefs and social structures of this ancient culture.
Like stepping back in time, what are some of the most surprising things they found?
The discovery of elaborate burial chambers filled with intricate gold ornaments and pottery is really fascinating. It suggests they had advanced craftsmanship and a complex belief system around death and the afterlife.
It makes you wonder what else is out there waiting to be found. How many more secrets are hidden beneath the surface?
There are definitely countless archaeological treasures still waiting to be discovered. This discovery shows us that history is always changing, always being rewritten as new evidence is found.
Let's talk about that universal cancer vaccine. If it keeps showing promise in clinical trials, how long until it could be available to the public?
It's still early, but if everything goes smoothly, we could see it approved for use within the next 5 to 10 years. Of course, this depends on it passing all the necessary safety and efficacy tests.
5 years is a pretty short time frame for such a groundbreaking medical advance. What challenges could delay its availability?
One of the biggest hurdles is scaling up production to meet global demand. Manufacturing a new vaccine on a large scale is complex and expensive. Also, we need to make sure that this vaccine is affordable and accessible to everyone who needs it, no matter where they live or their financial situation.
It's so important to ensure equitable access to life-saving treatments. Okay, let's go back to the world of technology and discuss those AI-powered autonomous systems. We've already got self-driving cars, but now we're talking about fully autonomous cargo ships and planes. What are the main safety concerns?
Safety is the top priority. These systems are still being developed, and it's crucial to test them thoroughly before they're widely used. We need to be absolutely sure they can handle unexpected situations, navigate complex environments, and make decisions that prioritize human safety above all else.
But even with the best technology, can we completely eliminate human error?
Human error is always a possibility, even with automated systems. But the goal is to reduce that potential by automating tasks that are prone to mistakes, fatigue, or distractions. We want to create systems that are more reliable, efficient, and ultimately safer than human-operated systems.
It's a bold idea, but it raises questions about the balance between human oversight and technology's independence. Speaking of bold ideas, let's go back to space exploration and the Mars habitat demonstration. Building a habitat on Earth is one thing, but building one on Mars, that's a whole other level of difficulty. What are the biggest challenges?
The Martian environment is incredibly harsh. They had to deal with extreme temperatures, a thin atmosphere radiation exposure, and a lack of easily accessible water. Designing a habitat that could handle all of that while keeping humans safe and comfortable was a huge challenge.
So how did they do it?
They used a combination of innovative materials, advanced engineering techniques, and some really clever solutions. The habitat is designed to be self-sufficient with systems for generating oxygen, recycling water, and growing food using hydroponics. They even figured out how to extract water from Martian soil.
It's amazing how they thought of everything. But what about the long-term psychological effects on humans living in such an isolated and extreme environment?
The psychological well-being of astronauts on a Mars mission is a critical factor. They'll need extensive psychological training to cope with the isolation, confinement, and stress of living in such a hostile environment so far from Earth. It's essential to choose individuals with the right psychological resilience and to create a strong sense of community among the crew for any long-term mission to be successful.
It shows that space exploration is as much a test of human endurance and resilience as it is a technological achievement. Now let's turn our attention back to geopolitics and that Syrian regime change. While getting rid of a dictator is often seen as a positive thing, the aftermath can be messy and unpredictable. What are the potential scenarios for Syria in the years to come?
The situation in Syria is still evolving and it's complicated. There are many different groups competing for power, each with their own goals and alliances. One possibility is that a new, more democratic and inclusive government emerges, one that represents the will of the Syrian people.
But there's also the risk of a power vacuum, right?
All right.
Could that lead to the return of extremist groups like ISIS or more intervention from regional and global powers?
That's a very real concern. The instability and lack of a strong central authority create a breeding ground for extremist groups. They could exploit the chaos. To prevent this, the international community needs to work together to support moderate forces, provide humanitarian aid, and encourage a political process that includes all parts of Syrian society.
It's a reminder that achieving peace and stability in a country devastated by conflict is a long and difficult journey, full of challenges and unexpected turns. Now we'll talk about record-breaking global temperatures. This isn't just an environmental issue, it's a global crisis that threatens the very foundations of our society. What will happen if we don't take serious action to reduce emissions and deal with the impacts of climate change?
The consequences of doing nothing are very serious. We can expect more extreme weather events, rising sea levels, mass displacement of people, food and water shortages, and increased conflict over dwindling resources. This will put enormous stress on our global systems and institutions, potentially leading to social and economic upheaval.
That's a bleak outlook. But is there any hope? Are there any positive developments in the fight against climate change that suggest we can still avoid the worst-case scenarios?
Even though things look bad, there are some reasons to be cautiously optimistic. Renewable energy technologies are rapidly improving and becoming more affordable. There's a growing global movement demanding action from governments and corporations. The key is to turn this awareness and momentum into concrete policies and actions.
So it's not too late?
Definitely not. We still have a chance to act, but time is running out. The next few years will determine whether we can slow down emissions and avoid the most catastrophic effects of climate change. This is a challenge that requires us to work together to be innovative and to be willing to make significant changes to our way of life.
And that brings us to the event that our AI ranked as the most significant of 2024. It's something that has captured the world's attention, sparked debate, and raised profound questions about humanity's capacity for both compassion and conflict. It's a sobering thought, but also a reminder that we have agency. We're not just passive observers. We can shape the future. The AI has spoken, and the top event of 2024 is the escalation of the Israel-Hamas conflict. It's a conflict that's been going on for so long, it's easy to feel helpless, like nothing can change. What can we do to break this cycle of violence and move towards a lasting peace?
It's easy to dismiss it, right?
Yeah.
To say, oh, it's been going on forever, there's no solution. But that's giving up. We can't afford to do that. We have to keep striving for peace. And that means tackling the root causes of the conflict.
What are those root causes, the underlying issues that keep fueling this conflict?
We're talking about things like land disputes, security concerns, political representation, the status of Jerusalem. These are complex, emotionally charged issues. They've been festering for generations. Addressing them requires open and honest dialogue, respectful dialogue between all sides.
But dialogue isn't enough, is it? What concrete steps can be taken to build trust and show a real commitment to peace?
You're right, dialogue is just the beginning. It needs to be backed up by real actions, things that build trust and show a commitment to peace. Confidence building measures economic cooperation security arrangements that address everyone's concerns.
So it's about creating a win-win situation where both Israelis and Palestinians feel secure and have a stake in a peaceful future.
Exactly. It's not about one side winning and the other losing. It's about finding a way for both sides to coexist peacefully and thrive.
Now let's talk about the climate crisis. We've talked about the consequences of inaction. But what concrete steps can we take to turn things around? What does a sustainable future look like?
It starts with changing our mindset, recognizing that we're all connected. Our actions have consequences for the planet and for future generations. We need to move away from this idea of endless growth and consumption. We need a more sustainable and equitable way of life.
So it's not just about individual actions like recycling or saving energy.
Those are important, but they're not enough by themselves. We need systemic change, a transformation of our energy systems, our transportation, our food production, everything.
That sounds huge. Where do we even start?
We start by investing in renewable energy. phasing out fossil fuels, developing new technologies that reduce our carbon footprint. We need to design sustainable cities, promote energy efficiency, change the way we produce food to regenerate the soil and capture carbon.
So it's about changing our whole relationship with the planet, moving from taking from it to giving back.
Exactly. It's about seeing ourselves as stewards of the earth, not just taking what we want. It's about understanding that a healthy planet is essential for human well-being.
That's a great way to put it. Now let's talk about the BRICS expansion. Some see it as a threat, a challenge to the way things are. Others see it as an opportunity for a more balanced world. What's your take?
I think it's both. It shakes things up, makes us rethink our assumptions about global power, but it also creates an opportunity for a more just and inclusive world order, where power is more evenly distributed and where the voices of developing nations are heard.
So instead of seeing it as a competition where one side wins and the other loses, we could see it as a chance to build a more cooperative global system.
Exactly. We need to recognize that we're all facing these challenges together. Climate change, pandemics, economic instability. These are global issues. They need global solutions.
It reminds us that we're all connected, part of a global community. Let's talk about that universal cancer vaccine. If it works, it could be a game changer, giving hope to millions. But how do we make sure everyone can access it, not just the wealthy?
That's a vital question. We need to move away from a healthcare system that's all about profit. We need a system that prioritizes everyone's access to quality care. That means investing in public health, supporting research and development, making sure essential medicines and treatments are affordable and available to all.
So it's about shifting our priorities, putting people's health and well-being first, regardless of their income or social status.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that healthcare is a fundamental human right, not a luxury. It's about creating a world where everyone has the chance to live a long, healthy, and fulfilling life.
Finally, let's talk about those AI-powered autonomous systems. They have so much potential to improve efficiency, cut costs, even save lives. But there are concerns about job losses and the ethics of letting machines make decisions that impact us. How do we navigate this technological revolution responsibly?
It's important to approach these advancements with caution. Recognizing both the benefits and the risks, we need to embrace the possibilities while also addressing the challenges. That means investing in education and retraining, helping workers adapt to the changing job market. And we need ethical guidelines and regulations to ensure these technologies are used safely and for good.
It's about finding that balance between technological progress and human well-being.
Exactly. We need to make sure that technology serves us, not the other way around. Let's use our ingenuity and creativity to shape a future where technology improves our lives without compromising our values or our humanity.
That's a powerful thought. And that wraps up our deep dive into the 11 most impactful events of 2024. We've covered a lot of ground today, from ancient civilizations to space exploration, from global politics to the climate crisis. The big takeaway is this: the future is not set in stone. We have the power to shape it. The choices we make today, the actions we take, the values we embrace will determine the world of tomorrow. So let's choose wisely, let's act boldly, and let's create a future worthy of generations to come.
This deep dive has really highlighted how interconnected our world is. What happens in one place can have a huge impact somewhere else. Our actions matter, but this interconnectedness also means we have the power to change things for the better. By embracing innovation, working together, and prioritizing sustainability, we can create a brighter future for ourselves and for future generations.
That's a great message to end on. The challenges are real, but it's inspiring to see people working together to build a better future. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell us what you found most interesting or surprising. Until next time, keep diving deeper.